This week we are learning about fractions, and we're just going to get a little bit into fractions. Fractions are more of a first grade topic, but I think you guys are ready for the challenge, and I'll just give you a brief introduction today. So if you want to grab a piece of paper and follow along with me, it's a really simple introduction. So all you need is a piece of paper, and you might want to have a marker along with you. So fractions are about breaking something in pieces and making sure that it's equal parts. So if you are using fractions, it's never going to be an uneven breaking apart. So if I have a piece of paper that I want to share this equally between myself and a friend, I'm not going to take the paper and cut it on an angle and with one piece bigger than the other, because then that wouldn't be a fair share. And fractions are all about having a fair share. So I'm going to show you a simple way of folding paper, and we've done this a lot in our class already. That'll teach us about the different fractions that we're going to be working with. So the first step is to know that this is one whole piece of paper, right? I don't have this in pieces yet, right? So this is one whole piece of paper, and that is where we start with fractions, is the one whole. So if you want to make a note to yourself, one whole is just, there's no fraction there. It's just one big piece, one whole. The next step is to look at if I was sharing with one other person, like I said with my other piece of paper where I cut it unevenly. If I was sharing with one other person, I would just need two pieces, one for myself and one for a friend. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the paper in half so that there are two equal pieces, and that would be 1/2 for me and 1/2 for my friend. And that's all going to equal one whole piece of paper. And I'll show you how right now. So you're going to take your paper and you're going to fold it directly down the middle. Do that hamburger fold. Not the skinny fold, which is the hot dog, but the hamburger fold. And so I made the corners meet, and I pressed it down, and I have a nice good line here. So if I open it back up, you can see my line right here. This is my 1/2 line. So I'm going to show you what 1/2 looks like when you're writing it as a fraction. You can think of this as one of two pieces. So the way that you write it is a number 1 over top of a line and the number 2. This is one of two pieces of paper that I'm going to have here. So if I take it and I cut it down the middle, I am going to have two separate pieces, 1/2 and 1/2. But the interesting thing is if they're put back together, they're one whole all together, or 2 halves put together. Next up, you're going to take your paper and you're going to fold it again. So if I have my 2 halves and I have them like I never cut it apart, I'm going to place them together, making sure my corners meet, just like I did before. I'm going to take those 2 pieces and I'm going to fold them in half again. And if I fold them in half again, let's see, I'm going to flip this over so you don't see that. I now, if I open up my one whole, how many squares do you see on my paper now? Do you just see the 2 that we had before, the top one and the bottom one? Or do you see more equal parts there? If you look closely, you can see 4 separate boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I've done now is now I don't have to just share with one person. I can actually share with 3 other people. Not 4 people, because I'm including myself. But me and 3 other friends can all have an equal piece of paper to share. So I'm going to show you. I have fourths. And each person is going to get 1 of those 4 pieces of paper. So when I write my fraction, it's going to be 1/4, because it's 1 slice of the 4 sheets that I'm going to have when I take it all apart. Now I'm going to have 1 whole kind of written at the top of 2 of these papers, but that's okay. So I'm going to take that guiding line where I folded it in half and then folded it in half again, and I'm going to cut it down the middle again. So I did my halves. Now I have 4 separate pieces of paper, and each one is 1/4 of the whole piece of paper. Now, if I was talking about this like slices of pizza or ice cream scoops on a sundae, I might have more than just 1 being the same thing. So for example, in ice cream sundaes, I might have 4 scoops of ice cream, right? I have my 4 squares representing my 4 scoops of ice cream. Now, I don't have to have 4 different flavors of ice cream. I might just have 2 different flavors of ice cream. And so then I would have chocolate and vanilla on my ice cream sundae. I'm going to have 2 scoops of vanilla and 2 scoops of chocolate. So I would have 2/4 chocolate and 2/4 vanilla. Or if I really am a big vanilla fan, which I am, I might do 3 scoops of vanilla and 1 scoop of chocolate. So that would be 3/4, because I have 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. 3/4 of my ice cream sundae is vanilla, and 1/4 of my sundae is chocolate. Now, that was a lot of information, but if you practice taking the paper, starting with a whole, going down to half, and then going down to 4ths from there, it'll be a good way to just start learning about fractions. And then we're going to practice with some ice cream and some pizza later on in the week.